India doesn't have the capacity to build world-class infrastructure. That's what a McKinsey report concluded back in 2017. That's what investors quietly whispered in boardrooms stretching from London to Tokyo. The belief was simple and brutal. India was too chaotic, too poor, too tangled in bureaucracy to execute projects at massive scale. A country where nearly 800 million people survive on less than $2 a day couldn't possibly pull off the largest infrastructure build on Earth. The skeptics felt justified. On paper, the numbers looked absurd. But here's what they didn't anticipate: 20 lakh crore rupees, roughly $240 billion. Enough capital to buy Singapore's entire skyline twice over. By 2028, India's economy will either force its way into the global top 3 or choke on its own success. There is no comfortable middle path. Either the growth works, or cities grind to a halt, ports overflow, and factories sit idle because trucks can't reach them. At this scale, momentum is unforgiving. It accelerates everything or collapses under its own weight. And right now, across 15 different locations, India is doing something the world insisted it could never do. So before you underestimate what 1.4 billion people can achieve when pressure turns into purpose, look closely at what's unfolding. What links all 15 projects is not ambition alone, but a strategy so precise, so deliberately engineered, that it's quietly rewriting the rules for how developing nations build their future. By the end of this story, it becomes clear why betting against India may turn out to be the most expensive miscalculation global investors make this decade. The bullet train that was supposed to die first is still moving forward. India's first high-speed rail line, Mumbai to Ahmedabad, promises to cover nearly 500 kilometers in just over 2 hours. When it was announced, critics laughed. They called it wasteful, unrealistic, and politically motivated fantasy. But on the ground, something else is happening. Nearly 194 kilometers of elevated viaducts are already standing. A 7-kilometer tunnel is being bored beneath Thane Creek, one of the most complex engineering challenges in the project. The total budget stands at roughly 1.08 lakh crore rupees, with 81% financed through long-term, low-interest loans from Japan. By 2028, construction will be about 90% complete. Tracks will cover more than half the route. Electrical systems will be live. The first actual Shinkansen-based train sets will arrive in India, and trial runs will begin. This project isn't just about speed. It's about proving a point the world refused to believe. India no longer limits itself to talking about big dreams, it executes them. While passengers capture headlines, freight is where economies truly move. Quietly, India is building 2 dedicated freight rail corridors that could redefine how goods flow across the country. Think of them as industrial superhighways built entirely for cargo. The Eastern Dedicated Freight Corridor runs about 1,540 kilometers from Ludhiana to Dankuni. The Western Corridor mirrors it, stretching another 1,540 kilometers from Dadri to the outskirts of Mumbai. Together, they form twin steel arteries cutting through India's industrial heartland. These aren't conventional rail lines. They're designed for power and efficiency, double-stacked containers, trains carrying 25-ton axle loads, operating speeds up to 100 kilometers per hour for freight. The objective is staggering: triple India's freight rail capacity to 3,000 million tons annually. The project costs over 81,000 crore rupees and is nearing completion. The Eastern Corridor is 98% finished and scheduled to open by June 2026. The Western Corridor follows about 6 months later. By 2028, these 2 lines alone will handle nearly half of India's freight traffic. The impact is structural. Shipping costs drop by roughly 20%, transit times are cut in half, goods move seamlessly from ports to factories to borders without choking urban rail networks. These corridors function like an economic circulatory system, pumping industrial output through the country with efficiency India has never had before. Roads matter too, especially when they redraw trade geography. One expressway now cuts through 5 states like a clean incision. A 710-kilometre, 6-lane highway expandable to 8 lanes links Varanasi to Kolkata, slashing travel time from 15 hours to under 11. The project spans Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Jharkhand, and West Bengal. Around 30,000 crore rupees have been invested so far, and construction is already 60% complete. 26 major bridges anchor the route. 40 towns are completely bypassed, freeing them from traffic chokeholds. But the real strategic value comes later. By 2028, this expressway opens direct trade corridors toward Nepal and Bhutan. Nearly 50,000 vehicles will use it daily. Freight costs drop by 18%. Cross-border commerce worth roughly 15,000 crore rupees is activated almost overnight. This isn't just faster travel. It's the quiet erasure of economic barriers without erasing political boundaries. India's ambitions aren't confined to land. In Navi Mumbai, an airport is rising where water once stood. Built on 1,260 hectares of reclaimed land, it will be the largest airport in the country. 2 parallel runways stretch 3,700 and 4,000 meters, capable of handling Airbus A380s simultaneously. When fully built, capacity reaches 90 million passengers a year. Phase 1 alone costs about 16,700 crore rupees and was already 95% complete by mid-2025. The terminal spans nearly 440,000 square meters. Automated baggage handling, biometric boarding, and AI-driven crowd management are baked into the design, but the true innovation lies beneath the surface. This is India's first genuinely multimodal cargo hub directly linked to the Trans-Harbour Link, Mumbai Metro Line 12, the dedicated freight corridor, and JNPT port. By 2028, Phase 1 goes live, handling 20 million passengers annually, generating 25,000 crore rupees in economic activity, creating 1 lakh jobs, and finally easing pressure on Mumbai's overstretched existing airport. Moving millions daily requires more than airports. Surat, India's diamond-cutting and textile capital, is racing toward a population of 10 million by 2030. To keep up, the city is building 40 kilometers of fully driverless metro lines, 2 corridors, north-south and east-west, with 37 stations in total. The project costs around 12,200 crore rupees and was 70% complete by mid-2025. Trial runs began in June 2025. By 2028, both corridors will be operational, serving around 450,000 passengers every day. The masterstroke lies in integration. Surat Metro directly connects to the Ahmedabad Metro, creating Gujarat's first intercity metro corridor. 2 cities, 1 seamless transit system. This isn't futuristic thinking. It's survival planning for urban India. If building metros in flat terrain is difficult, carving them through mountains is something else entirely. Jammu sits in seismic zones, surrounded by rocky terrain where road construction itself is a challenge. Yet India is building a 23-kilometre metro system here with 22 stations, making it the northernmost metro network in the country. The project costs about 8,500 crore rupees and was halfway complete by mid-2025. By 2028, Phase 1 will be fully operational, serving around 150,000 passengers daily and cutting cross-city travel time in half. This isn't merely infrastructure, it's a declaration that geography no longer gets the final word. Sometimes transformation comes from projects that look small on paper. In Mumbai, a double-decker flyover at Prabhadavi is designed to handle 50,000 vehicles daily. 6 traffic lanes above, a pedestrian deck below. Costing around 600 crore rupees, it will save commuters on the Dadar-Worli corridor between 30 and 40 minutes every single day by 2028. Peak congestion drops by over a third. Across thousands of vehicles, that's millions of minutes returned to people's lives daily. Time is the one resource no nation can print. India is choosing to save it. Then there's the road that stitches together two capitals. The Delhi-Mumbai Expressway spans roughly 1,350 kilometers, 8 lanes wide, and expandable to 12. It slices through Delhi, Haryana, Rajasthan, Gujarat, and Maharashtra. Travel time between the political and financial capitals drops from 24 hours to about 12. Leave Delhi at sunrise, reach Mumbai by dinner. With zero traffic lights and minimal toll delays, the project costs around 1 lakh crore rupees and was 98% complete, scheduled to open in December 2025. It includes Asia's longest wildlife corridor, a 4-kilometer elevated stretch allowing tigers to cross safely. It features India's longest river bridge at the Chambal, stretching over 3.2 kilometers. Designed for speeds up to 120 kilometers per hour, it integrates EV charging and real-time monitoring. By 2028, around 80,000 vehicles will use it daily, saving 40% in fuel per trip and eliminating nearly 18,000 crore rupees in logistics costs annually. Along the route, economic zones worth over 2 lakh crore rupees come alive. This is nation building at highway speed. But highways need intelligent destinations. That's where the Smart Cities mission comes in. Launched in 2015, it spans 100 cities across 28 states. Total investment exceeds 1.64 lakh crore rupees across more than 8,000 projects. As of July 2025, about 95% of the work was complete. Smart street lighting, AI-based traffic control, integrated command centers, and IoT-driven waste systems are already operational in cities like Agra, Varanasi, Pune, and Surat. By 2028, all 100 cities will be fully equipped. Around 150 million urban residents benefit from 25% better energy efficiency and 30% faster emergency response. Citizen services, from birth certificates to death registrations, are digitized. These cities form the digital nervous system that every other mega project depends on. Powering all of this is a revolution few people see. India is targeting 500 gigawatts of renewable energy by 2030, up from about 180 gigawatts today. The crown jewel is the Khavda Renewable Energy Park in Gujarat, the largest on Earth, with a planned capacity of 30 gigawatts. Rajasthan's Padla Solar Park and Karnataka's Pavagada complex anchor the grid, alongside 30 gigawatts of offshore wind planned off the Gujarat and Tamil Nadu coasts. Total investment in this green transition approaches 25 lakh crore rupees, creating nearly 1 million direct jobs by 2028. It's not just about clean power, it's about energy independence at a scale few nations have ever attempted. India crosses 400 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity. More than 40% of the nation's electricity now comes from the sun and the wind. Nearly 800 million tons of carbon dioxide emissions are cut every single year. Energy independence has been achieved even in regions once dominated by coal. This is not simply about being environmentally friendly, this is about sovereignty, freedom from volatile fuel imports, freedom from energy insecurity. But clean power alone means very little if the system that moves goods continues to leak money at every step. For decades, logistics has quietly drained India's economic strength. Logistics costs hovered between 14% and 18% of GDP. Compare that with the United States at around 8% or Germany at 7%. This inefficiency acted like a hidden tax on growth. The national logistics policy was designed to end this bleeding by pushing costs into single digits by 2030. The weapon of choice is data, coordination, and visibility at a scale India has never attempted before. At the heart of this shift lies a unified digital nervous system. The Unified Logistics Interface Platform, or ULIP, functions as a real-time backbone connecting 28 government systems across customs, ports, railways, highways, aviation, and inland waterways. Imagine Google Maps, but for cargo. every container, every truck, every rail wagon visible in real time across the country. Decisions that once took days now happen instantly. Delays are predicted before they occur. Bottlenecks are resolved before they choke supply chains. This digital layer is reinforced by physical infrastructure. 35 multimodal logistics parks are being developed, where trucks, trains, ships, and aircraft connect without friction. Cargo moves seamlessly across modes instead of stalling at handoff points. By 2028, logistics costs fall to roughly 10 to 11% of GDP. Around 2 lakh crore rupees are saved every year. Export delivery times drop by nearly 30%. India emerges as a credible alternative to China in global supply chains. The silent killer of growth is finally neutralized. Highways form the next layer of this transformation. Under the Parvat Mala Pariyojana, nearly 34,800 kilometers of highways are being built or upgraded. An investment of about 5.35 lakh crore rupees is reshaping economic corridors, border roads connecting Bangladesh, Myanmar, Bhutan, and Nepal, coastal routes, and direct port connectivity. As of late 2024, the project was already 54% complete. Full rollout is targeted between 2027 and 2028. By 2028, over 25,000 kilometers of this network will be operational. Average freight travel time on highways drops by about 20%. Around 45 crore person days of direct employment are generated. New export corridors worth more than 50,000 crore rupees come online. Thousands of kilometers are no longer just lines on a map. They become lifelines connecting millions of people to markets, services, and opportunity. In Andhra Pradesh, the future of aviation is taking shape on open land. Bhogapuram International Airport, a greenfield project near Visakhapatnam, is being built across nearly 2,500 acres. Phase 1 alone is designed to handle 6 million passengers annually, with expansion potential up to 30 million. The 3,500-meter runway is long enough to accommodate wide-body aircraft like the Boeing 777 and Airbus A380. The project cost stands at around 4,500 crore rupees and was approximately 86% complete by September 2025. By 2028, the airport will be fully operational, easing pressure on Visakhapatnam and transforming Andhra Pradesh into a logistics and cargo hub. Pharmaceutical and seafood exports receive a massive boost. The state economy gains an additional 8,000 crore rupees every year. One airport reshapes an entire region's trajectory.